The metal door slammed shut with a sound that felt like the whole world stopping. Marcus Reed stood in the tiny concrete room. No windows, no bunkmate, nowhere to run. Just 4 hard walls, a steel toilet, a dim light that never turned off, and a guard's voice echoing through the slot in the door. Welcome to 24/7 lockdown. No yard. No phone. No contact. This was solitary confinement. The place Marcus feared more than any prison gang, more than any fight he'd ever seen on the yard. Here, time didn't move. Here, even your own thoughts felt like enemies. But his real shock came when he noticed something scratched deep into the wall, a message from whoever had lived in this cell before him. It read, "If you can hear the whispering, don't answer." Before Marcus could even process the warning, he heard it, a soft, slow sound coming from the vent above his head. Some whispering his name. And just before he could shout for the guard, the voice said something that froze him in place. "I know why you're here. Now let's rewind." Before Marcus ever stepped into that cold concrete box, he wasn't the kind of guy who imagined ending up in solitary confinement. He was a 32-year-old delivery driver from Cleveland. He had a small apartment, a teenage sister he helped care for, and even though he'd made mistakes, none were bad enough to land him in federal lockup. But one night changed everything. Marcus witnessed a robbery outside a gas station. He wasn't involved, he didn't know the people, he was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. When police arrived, the robbers were gone, but Marcus remained. And in the chaos, the only thing they had was him. He tried to explain, but the officers thought he was lying. What made it worse was that one of the stolen items was a gun linked to another crime. From that point on, the system treated Marcus not as a witness, but as a suspect. He was charged, denied bail, and sent to a federal detention center while waiting for trial. That's where the trouble really started. Prison life hit him fast. He kept to himself, but even doing that can make you a target. Inside, someone always wants something from you, your food, your space, your silence. But Marcus wasn't a fighter. He avoided problems. He followed rules. Still, trouble found him. One morning during breakfast, a verbal argument broke out at another table. Marcus wasn't even involved, but when officers rushed in to stop the chaos, they ordered everyone to get down. Marcus froze for just a second, confused, and that tiny delay made an officer think he was resisting. That misunderstanding snowballed in seconds. He was put in restraints, written up for failure to comply, and escorted straight to the one place he never imagined he would go. Solitary confinement. The hallway to the unit felt colder than the rest of the prison. No voices. No footsteps. Just doors, thick steel doors with heavy locks. A guard, whose face didn't change no matter what anyone said, walked Marcus to cell 214. 23 hours locked in, the guard said. 1 hour in the cage if you behave. Then he closed the door. Inside the cell, Marcus felt the weight of silence pressing on him. He had heard stories about solitary before, people losing track of time, talking to themselves, feeling like the walls were shrinking. But stories are different when you're the one in the room. At first, he tried to stay calm. He counted the tiles. He paced the floor. He pushed his ear close to the door, hoping to hear anything. Footsteps, voices, even arguments. Anything that reminded him he wasn't sealed away from the entire world. Then he saw the message carved into the wall. The warning. The one that made no sense. If you can hear the whispering, don't answer. He frowned, leaned closer, trying to understand why anyone would write something like that. That's when he heard it. A faint whisper. Like someone breathing words through the air vent. At first it sounded far away, then closer, then clearer. Marcus. He stumbled backward, heart pounding. He didn't know anyone in this unit. No one knew his name here. No one should have known his voice or his story. The whisper came again, slower this time. I know why you're here. And just as Marcus reached for the call button on the wall, the whispering stopped. And the vent rattled loudly as if someone, or something, was moving behind it. Before Marcus could react, the lights in his cell flickered. Twice. Then everything went dark. And that's when he heard the footsteps, coming from inside the walls. The darkness inside Marcus's cell felt heavier than the walls themselves. He held his breath as the soft footsteps inside the walls moved closer, slow, steady, almost careful, like whoever was behind the concrete didn't want to be heard. But Marcus heard them. And he knew he wasn't imagining it. He backed up until his shoulders pressed against the cold door. His hands trembled. The only thing he saw in the pitch-black room was the faint green glow of the emergency exit sign far down the hallway, shining through the tiny window in the door. Then the whisper returned, closer than before. "Marcus, don't call the guard." His heart pounded so loudly he thought the whisper might hear it. That's when the lights flicked back on. The room looked the same. Nothing moved, nothing broken, just silence. No footsteps. No whisper. Just that carved warning staring back at him from the wall. If you can hear the whispering, don't answer. For the first time, Marcus understood why the message looked scratched in panic. But he wasn't someone who broke easily. He needed answers, real answers, not fear. So he pressed the call button. A guard's voice crackled through the speaker. "What do you want?" Marcus swallowed. The lights went out. "I heard something in the vent. I think someone's messing with me." The guard didn't sound worried. He didn't even sound surprised. "Yeah, people say that. There's no one in the walls. Get some rest." The speaker clicked off. Marcus stared at the vent. He didn't believe the guard. Someone knew his name. Someone knew why he was here. Someone had been in this cell before him. Someone scared enough to leave a warning. Hours passed. Or minutes. It was impossible to tell. Solitary confinement didn't have clocks, and the lights never changed. Time felt like water slipping through his fingers. Then, something new happened. A folded piece of paper slid under his door. Marcus froze. No one was supposed to pass notes. No one was even allowed to come close to another inmate's door. He picked it up slowly. Inside were 6 words, written in shaky handwriting. "You're not supposed to be here. They moved him today." Marcus's confusion turned into fear. Who is him? Why did someone think Marcus was in danger? And why did they risk breaking rules just to tell him? He pushed his face close to the bottom of the door and whispered, "Who wrote this?" A voice responded instantly, almost like it had been waiting. "Keep your voice down. Cell 220. I don't have long." Marcus felt a wave of relief. A real person. A real voice. Something normal in this strange, silent world. "What's happening?" Marcus whispered. The voice whispered back, fast, scared, serious. "The guy who had your cell, he wasn't right. He talked to the vents all day. Said someone was talking back. He tried to block the vent, but..." The voice stopped, then continued with a shaky breath. "They moved him yesterday. I don't know where. But since they took him out, no one has slept in 214. You're the first." Marcus's chest tightened. So the whispering, did he imagine it? "No. That's the problem," the voice said. "I heard it too." A heavy silence filled the hallway. Marcus wanted to ask more, but the voice suddenly whispered, "Someone's coming," and vanished. A second later, keys jingled. Footsteps approached. Slow, rhythmic, controlled. A guard stopped at Marcus's door. Marcus stood still. The guard peered through the window, face blank, unreadable. "You okay in there, Reed?" he asked. Marcus nodded. The guard didn't move. He kept staring, watching Marcus as if expecting something. Then he leaned closer to the door slot and said quietly, "You shouldn't listen to everything you hear in this unit. Some inmates imagine things." Marcus wanted to believe him. But the guard's tone didn't feel comforting. It felt like a warning. Maybe even a threat. When the guard walked away, Marcus unfolded the note again. "You're not supposed to be here. They moved him today." He looked at the vent, then at the scratched message on the wall, and for the first time, he felt something stronger than fear. He felt the truth trying to break through the silence. As he stood there, thinking about everything that had happened, the vent rattled again. Soft at first. Then louder. Then one single whisper came through, clearer than ever. "They moved him, but he didn't leave." Marcus's breath caught. And before he could step back, before he could even blink, the vent cover began to unscrew from the inside.